Hi there, good evening. It is Dan Curves, DK Analytics. It is Wednesday evening, September 16th, 2020. I want to put out a short video. I will call it, or the title is, A Brief Addendum to This Isn't Being Priced In, to my prior video about 2 weeks ago. I will forego the valuation metrics other than to say that both U.S. stock and bond markets remain at or near historic bubbles as both earnings power slips and is under incredible compression pressure and solvency concerns loom larger than ever. And I will hone in solely on the rapidly building political instability on the U.S. horizon in this brief effort as an additional dimension to what I've already discussed in the political, social, and economic realms in the preceding video and in others prior to that one and in posts as well. In so doing, I'm going to do something a bit untraditional, and I'm going to, in essence, hand off this shocking perspective to a constitutional giant, a constitutional scholar of the highest caliber, namely to Mark Levin. Specifically to Mr. Levin's Tuesday radio show. That is the show that aired yesterday on September 15th, 2020. I will provide the link in the comments section to that radio show, but I will also briefly state it verbally. Here goes. Bear with me. It is https://westwood1westwood1podcasts.com/pods/the Mark Levin podcast. Please choose the 9/15/2020 podcast. And again, I'm going to provide a link in the comments section of this video. Let me also give you the precise time points during which Mark hones in on what he calls the complications that could arise from this election. That's a very diplomatic formulation, especially when he really gets into this deeply. I think you'll find it worth your time to listen from the 40-minute, 40-second mark to the 59-minute, 3-second mark, and from the 1 hour, 31-minute, 30-second mark to the 1 hour, 37-minute, 30-second mark. Let me briefly repeat those. That is from the 40-minute, 40-second mark to the 59-minute, 3-second mark, and from the 1 hour, 31-minute, 30-second mark to the 1 hour, 37-minute, 30-second mark. What does Mark address? Again, even more political uncertainty, specifically a very high probability that the typically smooth transfer of power following a U.S. election at the presidential level, a hallmark of U.S. political stability, will not be on offer this time around for the first time in history. In fact, extreme political uncertainty in this realm is a near certainty after the November 3rd election. Yet major U.S. stock and bond indices, once again, are at or near historic bubble valuation levels. Anyone that has watched Joe Biden for any time knows that the man is severely mentally challenged. And moreover, that he will be the puppet of both his VP choice, Kamala Harris, and of the Marxist wing of the Democratic Party, which shockingly is less than a wing and more the leading power broker aggregation on the one hand, and the party's base nowadays. In fact, in terms of Harris and on the puppet front, Harris recently let the cat out of the bag with a Freudian slip by describing a future Harris administration. She did this, I believe, just yesterday, September 15th. I'll provide the link to that in the comments section in case you missed it. Harris is also a deeply corrupt, destructive, and tyrannical figure that effectively will be the next president of the United States, not Joe Biden. That's the point. But don't take my word for these disturbing descriptions of deeply corrupt, destructive, and tyrannical. Once again, if you are so inclined, see the link on just this that I'm going to provide in the comments section. Or consider, if that doesn't move the needle, that only 2% of the Democrats that voted in the Democratic nomination process for the presidential candidate, only 2% of the votes were garnered by this lady. That's how off-putting she was. Well, the link I'm going to provide provides worrisome morsels of her California Attorney General, State Attorney General, abuses of power, of silencing of dissent, and her radical LGBT activist agenda. Lesbian, gay, bisexual, transsexual, and I don't know what else they're going to add on. I think they've got some other letters, but you get my point. Again, that link in the comments section. Let me provide also some parting food for thought on just how destabilizing the post-election period will likely be for flavor, right, as to why you should consider tuning in to Mark Levin's shocking analysis on just this front. Let's say, heaven forbid, that on election night, November 3rd, the Democrats win the Electoral College minimum majority of 270 votes for Joe Biden to become president-elect. Given the rampant voter fraud, no ID required, that will likely accompany unprecedented mail-in voting for up to 80 million Americans that will receive a mail-in voting choice. The Trump administration, with the no ID fraud potential, may well seek to dispute the election results. The Democrats, if this does happen, will say that Trump is a dictator or that he won't leave office and that the military will have to remove him from office. I mentioned some of this in a prior video. In short, the Democrats will burn the country down politically, much like they've burned cities down literally in their absolute obsession to regain complete power. Now, let me ask you one more time. Would you settle for a 0.7% Treasury yield and extremely low yields across the bond spectrum all the way into junk bond land in such a world? Would you settle for an S&P 500 valuation reaching almost into the mid-30s in terms of the PE for the EPS for the Standard & Poor's 500? That is gap-based, real. 12-month moving numbers. A world in which the left is bent on ultimately fomenting a French Revolution if they fail to retake power at the federal level, or go full-blown Marxists if they do retake the presidency, keep the House, and possibly take the Senate. That's it from here on September 16th, 2020. I hope you got something out of my food for thought and the incredible discrepancy between our political situation, which is going to get a lot more tenuous, and the blue sky valuations in the US of bonds and stocks. That's it from here. Over and out. Thanks for tuning in. Bye-bye.